that she had to put that she was in recovery and that's it.
Okay. Well, let's just pick up where we left. How are you for time? I know you.
In about 20 minutes, I'm going to have to jump in the shower, but we can finish this later too. If you want.
Okay. Well, do you want to just do it later then, or?
Well, we can bang out another 20 minutes. Though,
okay.
right?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So your friend.
Let me look at my real quick.
Okay.
I might have some. I know I have a gap at like 7 tonight. So hang on a second. Please hold.
Okay.
While I look up schedule. I say that way because that's how they talk in Canada. Let's see. I have that's my old music. So, I think my Chrome on my computer, my web browser is a great metaphor for my brain, man.
Is it just a mess?
Wait, it's about 7 million fucking windows open, and each one of those windows has like 15 tabs under that one window. And I wake up my computer, and it's like the first thing I see: Chrome is open and running, motherfucker. So, thank God for meditation, or I would just be a total disaster. So anyway, yeah, let's get as far as we can get, and then I have a break at 7 too. We could maybe do something after that.
Yeah, no worries. I think my only problem is tonight's my home group.
Okay. Well, we could do it tomorrow morning too, but you're working, right?
Yeah, working. So we'll figure it out.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
I also have, I think, like 4:30, but let's just get to it now.
Okay.
All right.
So your friend just got out of rehab.
Yeah, and I had met my friend. She became my good friend. Her name was Michelle, but everybody called her Midge, right? Mm-hmm. So, and she had known that guy who went off to Vegas and got killed, but he got recovery. Yeah. And then this gal, her name was Trisha. She got recovery. And I said, well, shit, there's a lot to this recovery thing. I had another woman named Karen, and she had tried AA for a while, and it worked for her. But as soon as she quit, oh shoot, I just said the group's name. Can you edit it out?
Oh, yeah, I can edit that out. But with her being Karen in AA or whatever, I think that's fine.
Oh, okay.
She's anonymous, and so it doesn't matter that we talk about what group she's in because no one knows who that is.
Okay. So, and she got it, and I thought, okay, well, this recovery thing sounds pretty good. However, these people aren't talking about moderation. They're talking about quitting altogether.
Right.
No, thank you. So, I moved again. No, I thought if I moved again, it would help. And, it didn't. I moved in with my friend Craig and his fiance, Clara, and very good people. And I remember I got a glimpse into what a normie looked like because they bought a 6-pack of this Samuel Adams beer. This is 1998. And it was like Sam Adams had just barely come out. I might have not even been Sam Adams. I don't know. But it was like, okay, that looks like good beer. I should try some of that sometime. And that fucking 6-pack sat in our fridge. I'm not exaggerating, for 7 months, right? One night I was like, F it, I'm drinking their goddamn beer. So I came upstairs all fueled up on Jack Daniels, and I drank the rest of their beer. God damn it. By the way, I've bought any kind of alcohol being sober I stayed with them in Reno a couple years back, and I went and bought them a 6-pack of that same beer. So
did you?
Because I drank theirs, right?
Yeah.
I said, "Here's my amends," and so because
I never even thought about making amends to people who I stole their alcohol from.
Yeah, well,
that just added a lot. A lot of amends I just got.
I was totally selfish. I mean, look at me. I'm like, how dare they not drink this? I will.
Yeah. Right.
That's totally. I was living my entire life as a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I drinking whatever I wanted, dude. If I met somebody, I would either want to have sex with them, or I would want them to give me money so I could drink. And if I could get them to give me money and have sex with them, then that was the ultimate combination.
Right. Right.
Maybe
Yeah, somebody who was codependent and they just help you along.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But so you were living with them, and where did that go from to?
Well, they got engaged and they were getting married, and that woman Midge and I had become really, really good friends, like just platonically.
Uh-huh.
And in January of '99, one day she just turned around and kissed me.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know. We'd become best friends, and all of a sudden it just made a lot of sense all of a sudden to start to date. So we did. And about 7 months later, we got married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess it's easy if it's your best friend, right? You're like, well, we already know
everything.
We like each other.
Yeah. It was great. And we had, and I'd been attracted to her ever since the first minute I met her,
Right.
So I do have to admit, though, in a sick way, I was kind of attracted. She had a 6-figure income. She was a computer person. And I said, oh, I like that.
Right. Yeah, this could support my drinking.
Exactly. But I also just was crazy about her as a person. Right. And she's the one who told me about recovery. So anyway, we were married, and I got to tell you, I had always thought that when I get married, because I had always wanted to be a husband and I'd always wanted to be a dad, like my. And when we got married, I said, okay, now I'll be able to stop drinking. And of course I didn't, right? Now I just tried her to drink.
Mm-hmm.
After about 9 months of marriage, she said, look, you drink way more than I realized. You got to get some help. And so I did get some help. I went to Dr. Brad. And Dr. Brad was awesome. He started doing psychotherapy, right? Or whatever.
He's a therapist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also started going to my 12-step fellowship.
Uh-huh.
And I went into the fellowship and I saw something that was just mind-boggling to me. There were all these people who had the things that were boggling were they were sober, right? Like long-term sobriety, 17 years, 25 years, whatever. And they had a connection to a higher power where there was no defined thing associated to that higher power. In other words, they were in there talking about God. They were talking about listening to God's guidance, about following God's guidance so that they could be better human beings and better people, and especially so that they wouldn't drink. And I said, Jesus, I like this. Well, I probably didn't actually say Jesus, actually. No, but
holy gosh.
That, and I felt for the first time in, exactly 10 years, I started drinking in 1990. And then in March of 2000, I went to that group, and I saw the GOBS, I call them GOBS, stands for Grumpy Old Bastards. And they were doing what I wanted to do, which was to have all the benefits of having a God in their life with none of the baggage of religion, dogma.
Right.
And so I fell in love with it right then and there.
Yeah.
There were also some things that I didn't like, which was that they weren't drinking.
Right.
Let me think about the things I didn't like. No, that's it. Yeah, that was it. They weren't drinking. And I said, okay, well, shit. And I didn't work the steps. I heard about the steps, and I didn't work them. I was reading. I don't know if that picked up or not.
Yeah, I heard it vibrate.
I got a text. So, but I read in their literature where that you can edit this out, but I read the doctor's opinion. I didn't read the doctor's opinion. I just blew right the fuck past it.
Right. Yeah.
Because who reads the little fucking Roman numerals? Losers do.
Right.
So I blew, but I didn't make it. I made it maybe through Bill's story, and I was like, this guy's just like Joseph Smith, man. And then I made it into that part of the book where it talks about the guy who doesn't drink for 20 something years and then brings out his slippers. And I didn't pay attention to that. And then he dies, right? I just said, wait, if that guy can drink like or cannot drink for 30 years, I can do that too. But I'll just drink a little here and there.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Drink, but so now you can get back to the unedited part. But so after about 6 months sober and going to my fellowship, and then also going to, but not working the steps, and going to Dr. Brad, I had this amazing thing happen one day, which was that Dr. Brad said, and this is I'm gonna do my best imitation, and I'm actually doing the hand signals, but you can't really see it because this. He just wanted to know that I really think progress in our work together. Well, thanks, Dr. Brad. You know, I've been putting a lot of thought into it. Really, to me, you've been drinking like someone, you know, you're like someone who has an arrow in their leg, and you've been drinking to cover up the pain of the arrow in your leg. But now that you've worked through the trauma of your childhood, now that you've got a God in your life, I'm not so sure that going to AA, I'm not so sure that your meetings are really all that necessary. I don't think you're an alcoholic. I was like, what? Excuse me? Yeah, I don't think you're an alcoholic. I think through psychotherapy, we remove the arrow. You should be able to drink like a normal person. And I swear to God, Ty, you know what I said to him?
What?
Can I get that in a note? Write a note that says you're okay. And I don't know if I made it home with a note or not. But
like, what were you gonna do? Put it in your wallet just to show everyone? No, you see, I got a note.
I can like a normal person.
I got a note from my therapist.
Swear to God, I'm not lying at all. He said that, and I asked him for a note. I don't know if I made it home with a note, but I made home certainly telling my wife I should be able to drink like a normie. And I had a business trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Texas was, and so I was in Dallas, and I don't remember what we were doing, but whatever we were doing, the business thing went well, and I went, oh well, you know, I should be able to drink like a normie. I'll go down to the hotel bar, and I'll have a couple like a normal person does, and maybe like Craig and Clara do, and I'll just have their one or two, and then that'll be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't make it on my flight the next day.
Oh shit.
Well, yeah, because I was obliterated.
Right.
I don't. If I try to explain this to normies all the time. Drinking for me is because they really legitimately have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that once I start drinking, it triggers a craving for more drinking.
Right.
And they go, hell are you talking about? And I say, it's like a mosquito bite. The more you itch, the more you want to itch. The more you scratch it, the more you want to itch it. And the more you itch it, the more you want to scratch it. And that's what happens for me. I had that first shot and that first beer. I remember that really clearly. And I don't remember much else other than buying some soldiers a bunch of drinks.
Right.
And then I remember not making my fucking plane the next day. I remember that too.
Was your wife just so pissed? Like, I knew it. I knew you couldn't do that.
I didn't tell her the reason I missed it was because I was drunk. I just told her, oh yeah, I overslept in the plane. I missed the plane. Which I guess technically true.
Right.
And I came home with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a whole bunch of beer. And I did for another 8 years. I drank for another 8 years.
Really?
I thought,
whoa.
What's that?
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a big relapse.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a stretch. How were you able to keep up that 8 years if you'd already kind of got to a low spot? Like, you were still just doing the bass thing?
Oh yeah. At this point I had made a little music school for myself. And I was doing a ton of gigs. I was at kind of the pinnacle of my career at that point.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I had some negative consequences, and she had her nice kick-ass job,
Yeah.
you know? And so if I lost a gig or two because I was, not responsible, that was okay. But I'm a crazy talented person. I'm not just saying that to brag. I'm just saying that's because that's the truth.
Right.
I'm very good at what I do. I'm an extremely good communicator. And I was teaching more and more, and I have this way of getting into people's psyche and saying, oh, you're at point A. We want to get you to point L. Well, let me design a way to figure that out and get you to that point where you can know it. As a matter of fact, that's why I'm a kick-ass sponsor, because of the same reason.
I love it.
You're at point zero, or step one. Here's step 12. Let me navigate a way to get you to point Z, right? And I want to get them all the way through so they can have recovery. And that's just a fact. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's just because it's true.
I think that's a good quality, and it's good that you recognize it, because that's an important thing in recovery. I know we have the 12 steps, but to say you have to work them exactly like the book, I think is a little off. Like, you kind of have to customize them a little bit to make them work for you.
And I absolutely do. I got a sponsee right now who he isn't ready to face his stuff.
Yeah.
And here's the amazing thing about my program is that on that 11th step, it says, we try to develop a conscious contact with whatever God is, or as I like to call my higher power, Wiggy, which for whatever God is, right?
Whatever God is.
I've also said that sometimes there are two gods that I know about. There's Gomu and Goyu. Gomu stands for God of my understanding, and Goyu is God of your understanding, right? There are only two gods. So
I like that. Gomu and Goyu.
Anyway, so I've worked really hard these last 8 years to try to develop a conscious contact with my creator. And I went to my creator and said, I don't know what to do with this guy that I'm working with. I'm not going to say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just doesn't want to face this stuff, but he's staying sober by getting together every Sunday morning. And so what should I do? And my HP just nudged me and said, let it sit. You're fine. He will come to that step when he's ready.
Right.
In the meantime, love the fucker. Love him as much as you can. And I said, okay, that's what I'll do. And you know what? Yeah, I'm a little emotional, but yesterday he said, hey, I want you to know I took up a new hobby. I said, what is that? Working on my 4th step.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, just let that shit go. And all of a sudden God fucking knows. How dare I try to force my way? I am not God. I know I like to think so. If I'm sick, I like to think I'm God, but I'm not. God knows. So if I just stop and ask, you know what? Never have I never. There are 4 things I know about my higher power, about Wiggy. I know it loves me beyond my comprehension to understand. I've felt it and I've experienced it. So it's not a theory. I have felt that love.
Yeah.
And it's a fact for me.
Right.
I know it will give me strength if I ask for strength, comfort if I ask for comfort, and it'll give me guidance when I ask for guidance. That's all I know about my creator. I don't know anything else. I don't know if it has an elephant snout or wears sandals. I don't know anything about that. And I don't really care.
Right.
And I honor people who want to get more defined in their creator. And they say, well, my God looks like this. Well, that's great. I think that's awesome. I don't need to know for me. And so I don't bother with it. I don't care.
Right. When you say you ask for guidance, what does that feel like to you? What does a guidance from God or your Wiggy feel like to you?
Well, a lot of times, if I'll say, I don't know what to do here, God, within, 2 or 3 minutes, I'll hear this, and then a biplane goes by with a big trailing a banner behind it. Talk about step 3 again, or whatever the hell, right? Wouldn't that be awesome if that was
be the best. It'd be so good. I always wish I had like a legit magic 8-ball that would just tell you the exact right thing. Like, do it.
No kidding.
Okay, you got it. The reason I ask is because I love that intuitively know. There's a part in one of the literature that says you'll get to a point where your intuition is God based. And sometimes I experience that, but I don't always experience that. And I just was wondering if that's kind of your experience with it, is you just kind of get this intuition of what the right choice is.
100%. And here's the thing, Ty. I feel bad because how long is the podcast supposed to go? When you edit it?
We got time if we're.
No. Is it like an hour-long podcast? How long is it supposed to be?
Oh, I go from an hour to 3.
Okay, because I've got like, you get me on a roll, dude. I could talk recovery literally all day. So you have like, Dave, 3 hours, part 1.
Yeah.
Dave, 3 hours. Just enough to bore the hell out of people.
Right.
You know, it's good.
Right.
Give them a chance to exercise their creative minds by having them. But no, I see the, and you may not want to include this, whatever, but as we try to establish a conscious contact, you know, it says in our literature that what used to be, I'm not going to
guess or a hunch.
Yeah, the occasional hunch or inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind.
Yeah,
we come to rely on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you may pay for this presumption with all sorts of absurd ideas. I think I'm getting close.
That's close.
So here's the thing. When we do our 4th step, it says when we look at the little columns we're supposed to do, one of the things we're supposed to look at is when we're looking at our part in the 4th column, it says we look for where we were self-seeking, dishonest, frightened, or selfish. And people often think that self-seeking and selfish is the same thing. And it's my theory that they're not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Seeking, I mean, everybody knows what selfish is, but self-seeking is where we seek our will versus God's will.
Oh.
And if I look at especially current resentment, it's hard to do that first time through when you're looking at resentments that have been there for 30 years. But when you do a current resentment, like a 10th step or a miniature 4th step, whatever you want to call it, most of the time, if you stop and look at it and you say, I'm mad because, I don't know, Jake stole my wallet. Okay. If I look at it, there was a moment at some point, before Jake stole my wallet, where a God thought came in and said, you know, you should put your wallet away.
Right.
I almost always blow past that shit, by the way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But so here's the problem, right? How do we know until something goes south? So let's say that the God thought comes in and says, Ty, get off the freeway and go left. And you're like, okay. And you do. And then nothing happens, right? And you're like, well, what the fuck was that? Was that God or was it not? So when God says, Ty, go off the freeway, and you don't, and then you get in a wreck or you get a flat tire or whatever, right? Or you just whatever million things that could go wrong. It's then that you go, if you really look at it, you go, oh my God, yeah, that thought did indeed come.
Yeah.
And I ignore it. So ironically, by not doing what God tells us to do, we actually learn better what its voice sounds like.
Yeah. But have you ever had the experience? Because sometimes I think, being how I was raised, I was always taught about the Holy Ghost, you know, and he would whisper things to you, right? That you're supposed to do this or that. Well, sometimes in my life today, I'll get these crazy ideas like, you know, like what you're talking about. Like I'll just be walking down the street and all of a sudden it'll be like, you need to run, you know, and I'll just be like, Ty, you know, sometimes it's a little crazy and I won't do it and nothing bad happens, right? Like sometimes I get a little crazy with it.
Well, the first time that happened to me, I was walking out of my house and this thought came that was like a little nudge and it felt, I was like, is this a God thought? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
So I said, man, this might be a God thought. I'm not sure if it is or not. So, and the thought was, you should sit down and meditate. And I was like, right here? Yep. Now, it wasn't that clear. But it was, the distinct impression came. It was like, yeah, sit and meditate. But I will look like an ass. I'm in the public. I'm going to sit down on my fucking sidewalk or the driveway and, okay, fine. And I did. And then after a few minutes, just this little gentle thing said, okay, that's enough. And I said, all right, well, fuck you. That was ridiculous. And I started walking, going on my little power walk to get some exercise. And I came around the corner. The thought came, why don't you go left or why don't you go right? Literally. Go right. Okay. And I went into this place like the clubhouse for our little homeowners association. And there was a woman from the neighborhood and another woman. And this other woman was crying. And she said, Dave, you're in recovery. Come help us. And it turns out this other gal was a heroin addict and she was withdrawing.
Oh.
And so I was able to say whatever little bit of comfort I could give, I was able to say, and I certainly hooked her up with the names of a bunch of women that could hopefully help. And I haven't seen that person ever since then.
Yeah.
Who knows what good it did in the long run? I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have plopped down on my butt right then. I probably wouldn't have been in a position to help.
Right. I just wonder, because for me, when I get like, I will listen to intuition sometimes, but a lot of times I get these intuitions that I think are fear-based, right? Like they'll be like, you need to do this, or this terrible thing's going to happen to you. Like the best example I can give, and this was on drugs, so take it with a grain of salt. But I got this intuition that if I was to live the rest of my life, I was going to be more harm to my family than if I was dead, and that I needed to kill myself in order that everyone else could be happy. And I never did it, right? But I still get that intuition sometimes where it'll be these super drastic things like, you need to do this now or else you're going to ruin your whole life. And do you think that's a fear-based thing, or do you think, because I just wonder about that a lot. I know this is kind of like a weird area, but it's just, I've never, I struggle with that a lot. I'll get these weird intuitions that I don't want to listen to.
Well, I think most of the time, at least I can't speak for the way that your creator talks to you, but
right.
I don't, that's why I was joking about the biplane, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not this for me. And it's never been yet, this big dramatic, thou shalt build me a big steakhouse or whatever. Revenge of Sizzler. I don't know,
Yeah.
But it's these little whispers, these little nudges that say, I remember once I was teaching a keyboard lesson, and I'm a good keyboardist, but I'm a better teacher. So this lady just wasn't getting the concept of what's called a fully diminished chord. She just wasn't getting it. So I said, wait a second. I wonder hey, Wiggy, how should I approach this? I'm just not getting a suit or, and it's not like, thou shalt teach about the diminished seventh, David. Nothing like that.
You got a good God voice.
Oh, thank you. But the thought came, it was like, well, you know what? I think I could probably use a metaphor, which I did, by the way, which I still use to this day now. And I used it, and she instantly got it. And I thought, holy shit, that was the God thought. All I had to do was ask, and I got an answer. And it didn't come in with a big blinding light or anything. It was just this little thought that came in and said, yeah, why not try this? Which I did, and it worked.
Yeah. Well, and having talked to you about this is really, and this is kind of weird to do on a podcast, but I've never really talked about that with anyone before. And even just talking with you about it and kind of your experience with it, your intuition versus what I was talking about, it's become pretty clear to me that when I do have those intuitions, it's fear-based. It'll be something I'm fearful about. Whereas, when I do have a good, maybe God based intuition, I don't have fear with it. And so I think maybe it's just it's a fear response, and I'm just it's kind of one of those addict thinkings where I'm just like, you got to run away from this problem. If you don't, this is God talking, run away from your problems. So
no, this is going to sound crazy, and I don't know how to describe it, but I'm just going to say it. To me, the voices that are buzzing around in my head a million miles an hour are way different vibrational kind of energy. They're like bees and mosquitoes, just zipping around.
Yeah.
The God thoughts come in at a more lower toned, gentle, slower, loving vibe.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between fucking and making love.
Right.
And even though it's the same exact action, there is a world of difference between when I make love to my wife and when I used to just have sex with whatever person was moving.
Right. Yeah.
World of difference. Same penis, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Same is having those thoughts, but the God thoughts tend to be at a much, I don't know how to describe it, but a more gentle, there's I think a phrase from the Bible that says a still small voice.
Right. Yeah. And I totally, I'm glad we talked about it because that's something I kind of struggle with on a, not a regular basis, but a, bigger basis than I'd like to. And I think that is there's a lot of truth to what you're talking about with the God nudges or whatever you want to call them.
I call them God.
What do you call them?
God thoughts, because it rhymes.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, shower.
You got a shower?
Yeah, I just looked at the time. I should have showered 15.
Okay. All right. I'll call you later. Okay. All right. Bye.